Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Box Office Buddies podcast. I'm Daniel, and I'm joined by Jonathan.
Hello.
And Commonscout.
Glad to be back.
And shall we get into this top 10?
Let's just jump right into it. Last weekend was kind of an interesting one. You had a couple of small openings, but in the top 10 slot, the number 10 slot, I should say, our first entry is Reminders of Him, and it made 999,000, which is a 55% drop and just under $1 million, and that number is very funny to me. That brings its domestic total to 47.45 domestic, combined with 36.83 million internationally, for a combined total of 84.29 million worldwide. To compare this to Regretting You made 48.85 million domestically and 90.45 million worldwide. So it's approaching it. I feel like this is definitely going to beat it domestically. Worldwide, it's going to be close, I think. This was on a $25 million budget, so it's walking away with a pretty healthy profit.
Yeah, it's done very well. It's actually $805 away from the $1 million mark this weekend.
That is insanity.
These Hoover movies, they're going to be a new constant, I think.
Yeah, especially if they keep doing this amount of money on small budgets like $25 million, which this one has. A very good take, and we've got Verity later this year as well.
Which, according to fans of that book, is one of the big Colleen Hoover adaptations. So that's probably going to do gangbusters.
Yep, even better than this, I imagine.
Yep, we should maybe fear it, but it'll be good for the box office. So.
In number 9 this week, A Great Awakening, which did $1.28 million. That's down 37% from last weekend. It's also at 4.9 million domestic. This is okay, I guess. We don't have a budget.
I have no idea what this would be made for, but
I can't imagine a lot.
Okay, after, Sound of Freedom came out of nowhere 2 years ago, we knew we were going to be seeing a lot more of this kind of stuff. That means you're going to have ones that are successes and ones that are just absolutely going to not make any sort of splash at all, and this is one of them.
I feel like this is like spiritually an Angel Studios movie. I think I thought it was an Angel Studios.
I was kind of surprised it wasn't. I thought it was. And then I realized it was Roadside Attractions, which I was kind of surprised by. This is the same studio that has done I'm pretty sure they did Twinless last year.
Which is peak.
The only thing I'm going to say about this movie, because we talked about it last week, is that the poster makes it look like a Hallmark movie or something on that level.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've seen several of my older friends on Facebook raving about it. Its audience is there. They're going to see it.
Yeah, it's just not a very big audience.
What do you know? At number 8, we have Exit 8. It debuted with 1.44 million. This was just in 495 theaters as well. So that means it had a nearly 2,500 per theater average. International, I assume this is almost entirely all from Japan. It's made 39 million, around that, giving it a worldwide total of 40.65 million. I really want to see this movie. Is not playing near me. Seems like it got its audience, which it's based on a video game that a lot of Let's Players have done videos on, I believe. I've not played the video game. I just thought I saw the trailer a few times and I thought it looked really good.
Oh, this is based on a video game.
It's a very short video game.
Yeah, I think it is. If I'm not mistaken, I could be very wrong about this. This is the first video game adaptation to ever premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. Yeah, it was in the midnight section.
That's crazy. Not even Iron Lung got that luxury.
Of course not. I think Toho made it. I want to say Toho made it.
Oh, the Godzilla company.
Yeah.
And obviously here it's released by Neon.
Released in Japan by Toho. It came out in August of last year.
In Japan, this did 32.52 million, so it is most of the international total, but it did 3 million in South Korea as well, 2.19 million in Russia.
This is very impressive. I was not expecting this in the top 10, honestly.
That average is insane.
I was kind of hoping they'd expand it a bit, but it's looking like they're not going to. So
We're gonna go through a film in a minute as well, which it's in many more theaters, but it didn't do nearly quite as well per theater.
once again, it's another missed opportunity from Neon. I feel like they should have gone like at least 1,000 theaters for this. Like,
Also opening this weekend in a limited release, we had Faces of Death opening at $1.65 million in 1,600 theaters, and that makes a $1,029 per theater average. So yeah, not as impressive as Exit 8's opening, because considering it had more theaters, and this has a budget of $7.4 million.
I think this is fine for it. It's not anything special. I think they were probably hoping for more, especially with like, Charlie XCX, and I think they were hoping it would possibly hit with her fans as well.
so a big deal with this movie is that it is IFC's widest release ever, and that just baffles me.
Wait, seriously?
A reboot of some like cult classic at best horror movie from like the 70s that you find on like all of those like disturbing movies, icebergs, and I don't know what they're thinking personally. I mean, that's decent for what it is. It's just everything about it. This was made by Legendary Pictures as well, which is kind of insane. This is the second project kind of like this that's cropped up in recent years, because they also made that Toxic Avenger reboot as well.
Which I still haven't watched, and for a while I was convinced it didn't even exist.
It came out in August and nobody saw it. That also got a pretty massive release for what it was. It's decent. It has an audience. I'm actually seeing this tonight after we record this. Yeah, I don't see the wide appeal. I think, Dan, like you were saying, it was maybe trying to get like star power. I've heard Charlie XCX is in like 2 scenes.
Oh my, she's been in a lot, and she is in a lot. Oh my god, still.
She has been in a lot of shit. She's trying to break through the film industry.
She is, and I feel like she's doing a pretty good job, like in terms of the project.
Yeah, I really like the moment personally.
The projects she's picking are like pretty good, at least.
I'm kind of surprised they gave this like a wider release than like Good Boy, which was like PG-13, and the trailer went super viral.
At number 6 this weekend is BTS World Tour Arirang in Goyang live viewing. This BTS concert did 2.44 million only on Saturday, so it was only in cinemas on Saturday. It was in 1,189 cinemas, and it did just over 2,000 per theater, so it's a pretty good opening. For comparison, some of the other BTS movies that have come out, Bring the Soul did 2.3 million in the 3-day. BTS World Tour Love Yourself in Seoul did 2.86 million also on a Saturday. BTS Permission to Dance on Stage, also in Seoul apparently, it was 6.84 million on Saturday. They do have another one this upcoming weekend from Tokyo.
Be interesting to see how that one does in comparison.
Yeah, if there was anything I was not surprised by making this much money showing one day, it'd be like a BTS concert. Hanging in there for the top 5, we got Hoppers, 4.16 mil. That's a 29% drop. Shows it's holding very well against more prominent animated competition. So that brings its domestic total to a little over 157 million. The international total is a little over 197 million. And the worldwide is 354 million. So this is the 21st biggest Pixar movie. This finally passed Elemental domestically. Has a $150 million budget. Once again, I'm sure they're happy with this. They've been going through a lot over the last few years with their original films, so I'm sure they're happy.
I think getting over Elemental is a good sign.
And the fact that it's holding this well against Mario, too.
It's passing Elemental domestically, but there's not a chance it's catching up internationally. Take that what you will of it. I mean, regardless, I would still call it a success because the budget was lower on this, so that's automatically going to give it like some kind of boost.
They need to do more of these $150 million budgets. That's much easier to make back than 200. Like, oh my god.
Like I look at movies like Elemental and Lightyear, and I just say to myself, how did this cost this much money?
Elemental, I think they had to like develop new technology specifically for like the water effects. So I can kind of understand that. But Lightyear, like, why did that cost 200? I think we're gonna be seeing a new like model where they do an original, do a sequel, original sequel, original sequel. Well, they've kind of been doing either or, I feel like. So like in the 2010s, it was like mostly sequels. And then in the early 2020s, it was like almost all original films until Inside Out 2.
Well, yeah, until but they kept getting the boot to streaming.
Yeah, they kept putting them on streaming, and that just screwed them over.
I am still bitter about Turning Red, especially going to streaming. That was like, you guys have no excuses anymore after.
There's no reason whatsoever. I mean, it was like primed to go to theaters. Like,
Literally, I mean, and Sing 2 came out in December, and that did very well.
regardless, it was a boneheaded decision. They probably should have released Luca in theaters too. I think like Soul should have been the last one that went straight to streaming, honestly, which I think was the first one.
Moving on to number 4, we have You, Me, and Tuscany. And oh boy, did like some of us really have faith in this to do better, because it opened at 7.75 million domestically, just over $1 million internationally, for a worldwide total of $8.8 million on an $18 million budget. And again, I really thought this was going to break. I think I had like 13 million as my prediction or something. I was erring on the side of this will get some kind of audience, but no, this is disappointing.
It's a shame because it's a pretty good movie too. Like it has all of the ingredients for like a fun breakout rom-com. Whatever happened, it just didn't connect. Maybe it was the advertising, like they didn't advertise it in the right places. I was seeing a trailer quite a bit in theaters, but I will admit I also go to the theater more than most people do, so that doesn't really mean anything. A friend of mine was actually talking with me about this. He was saying like he has not seen like a single ad for it. He hadn't seen it online. He hadn't seen it on TV, anything. I feel like awareness just wasn't there.
I think the release date might not be the best either. Like, I know it's a different type of movie, but a week after the drama seems a bit, in hindsight, seems a bit off for a release date for another romantic movie. The only real saving grace at the moment for this is like the budget's $18 million. So,
But the thing is this even going to make that? I don't think so.
Okay, well, it'll make that, but like, it's gonna be just barely, I think.
I'm not saying it'll make back $18 million. I'm saying it's not going to lose that much because it only cost $18 million. I'd like to see how much of an international footprint it had. I know it did 400K in the UK, mostly because that's where I'm from. And that's not a lot because we love our romantic movies. I mean, one of our biggest British franchises is Bridget Jones. So yeah, that's not a promising number from the UK. Let's go into number 3, which is the drama, which did 8.71 million, down only 39% from its opening weekend. That brings it to 30.85 million domestic, 31.3 international, and 62.1 million worldwide on a $28 million budget, which is great. Challengers at this point was at 29.41, so it is running ahead of Challengers.
On a lower budget too. This is like the complete opposite of like the last movie we talked about. Like everything is just going right for this one, especially considering like we're not gonna say it still, but like considering what this movie is about, it's kind of impressive that it's getting the audience reception that it is. It's doing exactly what's supposed to. It's getting people talking. The buzz is just there. They knocked this out of the park.
Guilty as charged. I saw it last week and I completely understand why this is breaking out, because the whole thing is like, don't look up anything about this ahead of time. Just go in blind. And that's drawing a lot of people into it.
I know last weekend we said, we don't think it's going to like pass up Challengers.
I honestly think it will. These legs are way better than what I was expecting. So
I just love that this director is getting a bona fide hit after, Dream Scenario, which didn't release in many theaters.
Still hanging in there. Project Hail Mary, a little over 24 million. That's a 24% drop. So that brings the domestic total to a little over 256 million. The international is at 254 million. Total now worldwide 510.22 million. This is once again just phenomenal. So comparing that to the Martians final, it is already much higher than the domestic total for the Martian, which was 228.43 million. But the international, I don't know if this is going to beat that. The international for the Martian was 402.19 million, bringing the worldwide total to 630 million. I think it's going to beat the worldwide. I don't think it's going to beat that international number, personally.
I will say, like, international is slightly outpacing domestic now, so it will gain a little bit of ground, but it's probably not going to make up.
With it reaching 500, it is now at what many have said to be the break-even point. Although I read today on the Wikipedia page for Project Hail Mary that like Amazon kind of considers the break-even much less, because all of this is also just building up to the streaming release, which, oh my god, when that hits Prime, that is going to be something else.
Look, all I'm saying is Netflix needs to be taking notes.
Yeah, and I think they're finally starting to get it through their thick skulls that like theatrical's a good idea. I think the K-pop Demon Hunters release really showed them that like, oh, we're just leaving all of this money off the table. Narnia is going to be a big move for them. We'll see how that does.
And honestly, not just theatrical, it's also like putting a full marketing thing behind it as well, because obviously if they dropped it like Netflix drops movies theatrical, then this wouldn't have done nearly as much.
No, because there would have been any advertising. It would have had like a quick little limited release, and then like 2 weeks later would drop on Netflix, like no fanfare. And then people wouldn't be talking about it after a week. But people are still talking about this. This is like Project Hail Mary is still like all over my like Instagram feed. Like honestly, still more so than like Mario, which Mario's on it quite a bit too, but like I mean that's been out for like that just came out. And Project Hail Mary is still like grabbing the attention of people. This is like the coolest success story of the year so far. It might be for the rest of the year.
This is definitely gonna be the one that sticks with people the most, because we have most other movies that are coming out are gonna be like predictably successful. That like ones that we know, there could be a breakout here and there, but this is gonna go down as a legendary run.
I think this is definitely getting a Best Picture nomination as well. Like unquestionably at this point.
Honestly, I'm going to just go on a limb. I'm going to make a very early prediction that this will win Best Special Effects.
I could really see that.
speaking of Mario, coming in at number 1 this weekend, to absolutely nobody's surprise, is the Super Mario Galaxy movie, coming in under estimates at $68.08 million, which is a 48% drop from its 3-day. This brings it in for a domestic total of $307.2 million and an international total, which is very close, at $321.39 million, for a worldwide cumulative of $628.59 million. And that's on a $110 million budget. So we knew this was going to hold. I think we thought it was going to hold maybe a little better than this, but this is no surprise.
So yeah, it's a little concerning that it's closer to 50%, but it might show that there is some word of mouth hitting it, that it's not very good.
I have noticed it's a little different from the last one. There was a lot of glazing for the last one. Honestly, I am seeing more and more a lot of people just saying like this just doesn't work. It's got like no structure. It's just so scattershot, which I fully understand because I agree. Yeah, so it's not going to have nearly as good legs as the first one, but I think we kind of all expected that. I think this is maybe sign that it's a little worse than what we were expecting.
If they would have actually put effort in to make this a better movie, then it would have been doing better than the original by now.
I think they put way less effort into just every single element of this film, and it is turning some people off. I mean, really a key for that first movie's success, it had like adult appeal as well, you know? And I feel like the adults are not really enjoying this one as much. Families are still going, I'm sure of it. I'm just saying, if they put effort, I think they could have actually played for like highest grosser of the year, honestly.
But yeah, that is the top 10. Then we're going to go into our review section now. So this weekend, my movie that I've watched is Amelie, the 2001 French film, not Little Amelie, that came out last year. This film is very French, I will say that first. I know there's like some like sections where they're traveling on a vehicle, like a bike, and it's just really choppy, and I was like, yeah, that's a French movie. The colors in this movie are absolutely stunning. The cinematography, I can't say enough good things about. Bruno Del Bono did the cinematography. He also he did the Phoenician scheme as well. But yeah, like the colors look incredible. I think it's incredibly delightful. It's really quirky. There's like a narration throughout the whole thing. I feel like that type of narration could be annoying to some people because I'm not a big fan of narration all the time, but there was some comedy in there. There's a lot to like about it. It's very wholesome and yeah, I felt close to tears nearer the end. There's like a scene where this old man's on TV through a videotape, and that nearly got me to cry. Obviously, I won't spoil anything about why he's on there, but you know, I really enjoyed this movie. I gave it a 10 out of 10 because I enjoyed it that much. But yeah, it's very wholesome. It's very, and as I said, it's very French as well.
I added it to my wheel.
It could probably be a good palate cleanser if you ever do hit Schindler's List on that wheel.
Let me explain this wheel. I got like a list of like over 100 movies on my watch list. Put them all on this little random wheel, so I don't have to waste time like trying to pick something on streaming. I just have like select few movies that like I wanted to give priority to. Just spin the wheel, picks one for me. Okay, last night I did that. I was kind of sitting around doing nothing, and it landed on 2016's Train to Busan. I had been meaning to watch this for years. I think it's been on my Halloween watch list like every year since like I want to say 2021. I just never get around to it. But here I am in April watching it, and this movie rips. Like, this movie is awesome. I'm not very much of a fan of zombie movies unless it starts with 28. But I don't know, it's just not really my thing. But this is by far one of the best zombie films that I've ever seen. Like, it's just perfectly crafted tension, and the characters are like very investing as well. You have reasons to root for them to make it to the end. They're they put themselves before others to save others from harm's way. Well, most of them do. There's like this one character is like maybe one of the most obnoxious characters. He's not even like a villain. He's just a bitch. Like, he's just one of the most obnoxious characters I've ever seen. I desperately wanted that guy to die. But for the rest of the characters, I was really hoping they wouldn't die. Like, I was praying that they wouldn't. And unfortunately, my heart was broken for many of them. Yeah, the stakes are just so. It's not entirely on. It's mostly on the train. They do make some stops. Like, there's this one layover they have at a station, and then they get ambushed by a bunch of zombies, have to get rushed to get back on the train, and now that creates a whole new conflict where they got to get to the front of the train, past some cars that are just full of zombies, and like, and they learn about these zombies' weaknesses because they're very powerful, they're very fast, but they do have some very clear weaknesses as well. And I like how that unfolds throughout the movie. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much else to say, but I can't believe I waited this long to watch it. It is phenomenal. Definitely one of the best movies of 2016. One of the best horror movies, especially. Like, probably. And probably only have like The Witch ahead of it. Yeah, pretty much. I guess unless you count Shin Godzilla, which you can. Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the. That's. I see why it's a classic. I wish I'd watched it sooner. It's really good.
And Commonscout, what's your movie this week?
Well, wouldn't you know it? I've also got some horror. This is kind of a continuation from last week. So I also just got done watching it like a couple hours ago. And it's the final entry on a marathon I've been doing. I'd already discussed it. Because the marathon culminates in Freddy versus Jason from 2003. So pretty much a lot of people, I think, are familiar with this movie. They're familiar with the characters. The fact that this crossover happened is nothing short of a miracle, considering how much like crap it went through and all of the rewrites. And the end result is, it's all right. Like, the setup for it is clever. Like, Freddy is using Jason to get people's minds fresh on Freddy again, rather than Jason, which you'd think would be counterintuitive. And of course, that just ends up leading to his downfall. I think the major problem with this movie is that despite an okay start, it really does slump in the middle. Like, we don't get any actual Freddy versus Jason until like over an hour in. And now, don't get me wrong, when they do face off, all the times they do, each one is excellent. Like, there's so much fun, like, visual sight gags. Everyone knows the pinball one from the first matchup, but there's the two of them in flames being thrown into the air. There's that entire showdown in the construction yard. The one in the cabin is probably my favorite, if only for the part where Jason just tears Freddy through the windows. There's so many cool stunts in this movie, most of it coming from these two fighting, but there are some pretty good kills too. It's just too bad that the character roster is like one of the weakest in the entire, like, in either of these franchises, if I'm being honest. I mean, you know, we literally have Kelly Rowland in this film, and like, not even even she's not that interesting until she starts talking smack to Freddy, which admittedly has like some fun lines from her, where she's just criticizing everything about Freddy and how he's so like lame compared to Jason. The movie's also pretty dated. Like, you know, the 2000s were just a different time. I feel like that goes without saying, especially the early 2000s. The fashion, the vocabulary, the attitudes. Like, it's very much a movie that could have only been made in 2003. Robert Englund, of course, is always awesome as Freddy. It's such a shame he just doesn't have the energy to do the character anymore. Also, this movie just feels more restrained in that regard. Like, it actually makes Freddy kind of creepy at times, as opposed to what they turned him into by the time Freddy's Dead came around. Granted, I thought his portrayal in Wes Craven's New Nightmare was better. Overall, this is like a 5 out of 10. Like, it is one of the biggest mixed bag in either of these franchises. The last like half hour or so is what you should watch. All of like the stuff with the characters, none of it matters. Like, all the characters who aren't Freddy or Jason stink. Like, that's the best way to put it. Even in some of the other Friday movies, which are bad, or some of the Nightmare movies, I can pull out like, and I said this already with Jason Takes Manhattan, I could pull out like something from it, like, oh, this character was pretty cool. New Blood was very obviously like trying to just rip off Carrie, but even then, I thought I thought the main character was really interesting. And to Freddy versus Jason's credit, there are some really cool kills in this one, especially that first one with the machete through the bed, like, and then getting folded up. Like, it's gruesome. All the gore that happens with Freddy and Jason themselves is pretty great. And of course, that ending shot is just too iconic. It just sucks. It was never followed up on. They were going to follow it up with having Ash Williams from Evil Dead involved. And boy, I would have loved that. We did get a comic out of it, but it's just not the same, I'm finally done with this marathon. So hopefully next time you see me on this show, I'll have watched something of actual value.
I realize I've barely seen anything from either of these franchises. I think I've actually only seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That's it.
I mean, to be fair, that's probably the best movie out of either of those franchises.
Good to know. I've not really had much interest in doing like Friday the 13th, but I've wanted to maybe watch some of the other Nightmare on Elm Street films.
I'm not gonna lie, the first Friday the 13th is boring as shit.
It is very boring. Like, I'm going to maybe go out because I actually have watched, granted it was years ago, I have watched the 2009 reboot, or at the very least most of it, and I thought it was genuinely more interesting than the original Friday the 13th. Granted, it wasn't a good movie, but it was still like more interesting. I also am really bitter at the first movie for the fact that they killed a live snake. I am not a fan of like abusing animals to get shots, and like in this case, it's killing them. It's a sore spot for me. So I'm all done with that. I don't really want to do the reboots right now. Neither of them are currently on streaming, and I already have to spend money on Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason. So I'm not going to spend any money on these reboots that, again, there's really not worth anything talking about from what I hear, especially the Nightmare one, which I hear is terrible.
Those are our movies for this week. Let's move on to our predictions for next week. Common, do you want to go through your top 5?
Why not? So I've got the Super Mario Galaxy movie coming in at 38 million. I mean, not to spoil what you guys have, but I do have it dropping a little harder than you guys. I feel like at some point this is going to, I don't want to say dry up. It's not going to be holding as well, in my opinion. Like, honestly, we're probably going to get to the point where Project Hail Mary is going to overtake it in its, in rankings as the weeks go on. Like, this is just going to keep dropping and dropping. But, now I'm not saying it's going to start dropping like a rock, because it's clearly holding very well. And I do expect it to do well this weekend. And we're pretty much, on the train to 1 billion. It's an inevitability. So I think 38 million sounds about right. Speaking of Project Hail Mary, I've got that coming in at 20 million. Like, this is going to keep holding. Like, I can't imagine what could like really start eating away at its audience for a while. So we're going to see this have like tiny drops. Like, I have it dropping, like, this is going to be about like, I don't know, 16% drop. And after that, I've got Lee Cronin's The Mummy at 14 million. Like, I feel like there's enough buzz in the horror community that this will get a decent chunk of change. Also, this is going to sound funny. I am genuinely banking on people thinking this is going to be like another Mummy film, despite what the producers, it's Universal's releasing this, right?
I think it's actually WB.
Is it?
It's New Line, yeah. But Blumhouse is still involved with it.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a joint venture. Okay, it is WB. The fact that they'd go on social media and say Brendan Fraser's not in this movie, I think that's hilarious. But at the same time, I fully expect this to trick people, and so it's gonna be making like some money off of that. Maybe not like a huge amount, but enough to like really tip the scales in its favor. Now, I am definitely going to pay attention to what the cinema score is for this weekend because that's really going to determine a lot of how it goes. It does not just this weekend, but going forward. I'll probably try and catch it this Saturday. At number 4, I've got the drama holding well at 5.7 million, and then Yubi and Tuscany at 4 million.
So I've got the Super Mario Galaxy movie at 41.53 million, which is a 39% drop. Yeah, I feel like this is like just a little bit above what the original did, and I think it's going to continue dropping just slightly more than the original. But it's going to get worse and worse for it, like as it goes, because obviously it's just going to keep getting further and further away from what the original was doing at that time. Number 2, I have Project Hail Mary, which I've got at 20.52 million, down 15%. It's getting IMAX back, so it's probably going to do very well this upcoming weekend. Number 3, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I have at 14.75. I feel like I've got it high, but even then it's not that high. Like 15 million for this type of movie, it's not. I feel like it could have been doing a lot better. I don't know. I don't think it looks very good, to be honest. Okay, but then number 4, I have the drama, 5.66 million, down 35%. And then at number 5, I have Yumi and Tuscany, 4.42 million, down 43%.
All right. And for Mario Galaxy, obviously, repeat would be number 1 for one more weekend. I have it at 40 million, kind of in between both of y'all's. I mean, it's still within the range that I feel like it's obviously going to make. It's going to make that, but somewhere in between, I don't know, well, y'all put 38 and around 41. I mean, it'll make somewhere in that range, I feel like. I can't imagine it having much of a bigger drop than that. Project Hail Mary, I'm kind of with y'all on that. 20 million. Again, as Dan said, it's getting a lot more of its IMAX back. I checked some show times of some theaters that I know that have IMAX. It looks like it's splitting it with The Mummy. So Project Hail Mary will take some of the earlier show times, and then The Mummy, which is in IMAX for some reason, is going to take some of the later ones. That's going to be good for it because I'm sure it's one of the better selling movies recently in IMAX. I have Lee Cronin's The Mummy at number 3 with 13 mil. I don't really see much hype for this. I feel like for it to do much more, it's going to need some good reviews, which, I mean, they're not out yet. We'll see. I don't really know how I feel about it personally. It's there. I'll see it. Number 4, I got the drama at 5.5 mil. Pretty consistent drop there. And Yumi and Tuscany at 4.5 mil. We'll see how this goes. We'll see if this holds well or this starts dropping severely.
I think a note about The Mummy, to be fair, is I've heard that I've seen the BBFC rating. It's an 18, so it's probably going to be very, very gruesome.
Which makes sense. I mean, from what I've heard about Evil Dead Rise, which is Lee Cronin's last film. But yeah, no, I've heard it's insanely gory.
Oh, it is.
Very different from other interpretations of The Mummy as well. So we'll see how that lands with people. I mean, I just don't know. It could go either way.
But yeah, that was the box office for this weekend and our predictions for next weekend. Thank you for listening to us ramble on about movies.